Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to another episode of Intuitive Creator Spotlight. If you've watched our previous episodes, then you know that I have some amazing guests coming here to share with you their stories. So please subscribe to this channel and like the videos that you're watching. That would mean the world to us. Today, I have the amazing Mandy here in this interview. Mandy is a creative genius. She is a business owner. She is a mentor to other creatives. She is a women's identity and confidence mentor too. I am so honored to have Mandy here. I'm so happy to have you here, Mandy. Welcome to this video.
Thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure, Stella, always.
I'm just really excited every time I see you because we've known each other for a few years now, and it's always a true pleasure to see you and to talk to you because you're always expanding, growing, inspiring so many people, and it's fascinating to always hear your story. But I know that you have also been through times that weren't the easiest for you, and I know that you had to go through academic studies, then to your corporate career, and then ultimately discovering your passion for creativity. How did you go through these things? And what was, I would say, the element or the pattern that was repeating every single time that eventually told you, hey, Mandy, you're ready now for this journey, for this part of your journey in your life?
I think if I think back in my life, I always wanted to do things really well. Hence the academic career and collecting certificates. I got my degree in art and design. I've got more degrees, more coaching qualifications. And I don't know why. That was the repeating pattern to me, constantly affirming that I was useful and worthy in this world, because I wasn't very good in other areas. So things like relationships. I fell into a career in retail because I couldn't find a job in the creative space. I decided to be very good at it, and I was, but that was at the expense of relationships. So three failed marriages later, but two wonderful kids, I was sent on a journey to rock bottom by the universe, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I lost 25 years of my corporate career. I lost pretty much everything and ended up at rock bottom. And that was the pivotal point for me. It was right, we're going to take everything away now, Mandy. Let's see what you do with it. And I had decades and decades of book smarts and retail experience and business experience, and two children on the autism spectrum that I was managing really well as a single mum. So all of that package needs to be put into something that can change things for your chosen niche area, I suppose. That's kind of my potted story, if you like. There's a lot more detail to it, but I have written a book about that, so you can find out more detail.
Absolutely. Everyone who's watching this video, please check out the description of this video. I will absolutely share the links of where you can find Mandy's books and everything that she creates. She also creates amazing retreats that she's they're all full, like they're almost sold out for the year, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just incredible. We'll dive more into Mandy's story. But Mandy, I know you mentioned you are a mom of two amazing children, and they are also creatives. Now, as they are creatives, you are a beautiful creative. How did you navigate through that to hold the space for them to grow and then for your own journey as well?
I think for me, with the kids, it was about learning how they best express themselves. My son's autistic, my daughter is ADHD and autistic. So the world is a very difficult place for people on the spectrum. They don't learn the same as other people. So they were both having issues with school. So I had to become tarantula mother and manage the schools as best I could, because they're very fixed in their curriculums. But we used creativity as a way of allowing them both to express themselves in the world. they were using that before I was even thinking about expressing myself in my business that way. I was still doing things that traditionally made money rather than following my dream and my goal. So I parked my creativity for so long from having a degree in it and loving it and doing it all the time to not doing anything because I built a career and I had a couple of kids and so I put myself at the bottom of the list. And I think it's when you put yourself at the top of the list that everybody benefits.
Mm.
And that was the big shift for me as I lost everything when I ended up at rock bottom. There was me, two kids, two dogs. And I had to put me at the top of the list in order to move our lives forward and stop being everything to all people. That was another repeating pattern. So the need for constant certificates to say I was a good person, I was clever, I was this, I was that. And secondly, putting everybody else before me, being a people pleaser. Can't imagine me doing that now, but I was to a certain extent. I was in an unhappy marriage. I was in an unhappy career. But I was doing it because that's what society says you should do.
Oh, yes. And then it's so hard to remove yourself outside of that
Yeah.
space or box until the universe brings all of these challenges. And as difficult as they are, they're like waking you up. And I know that you have been through a very difficult challenge in your life through the accident that changed a lot for you. What was the hardest thing for you as you went through that experience?
I think for me, because it was quite a pivotal moment. I had an accident because a stag jumped in the middle of the motorway and I swerved the car to miss. And that one thing it was like a house of cards coming down. It knocked all the things. It was almost like we can see you're unhappy and all of these things. Let's get rid of them. And along the way, there was even tough lessons like my dad getting cancer and dying. That was a big, hard lesson. I didn't think he deserved that or me, but I still took it as a lesson. And I had a series of unfortunate events in 12 months. And at the end of it, when I was living in social housing with no money as a single mum with the kids and the dogs, I was like, you know what? I've got everything I need here in my brain. I've got everything I need to rebuild my life. I can actually sit here at rock bottom and complain, or I
Mhm.
can get on with changing it. And that for me was huge. From that one thing, the stag jumping out and causing the accident, to everything happening, to me going, right, I've got no choice. I've got to change things. I'm not staying here. The kids are not going to see me stay in this place. They're going to see me fight because I
Mm.
want them to be fighters.
Absolutely. This is such a beautiful example for your children as well. And like you said, when you put yourself as a priority, then you follow your own path. And then they see that you don't compromise on absolutely everything in your life. You follow your own journey and path. And this is an encouragement for them to do the same. And that's really, really beautiful. Now, I know you mentioned the stag that jumped in front of your car. And because we've known each other for a while, I want to ask this question because I feel that sometimes, as part of our healing, we would go back to those memories to heal those times. And I know that this tag came in some of your visions. How did that help you, if it helped you in any way?
It did. I think it was in our last big visualization session. The stag was there at the edge of a lake. And I felt like it was saying, you're still holding back. As much as you've done, you can do more. It's okay. I'll open the pathway for you. Just do it. And that's what Gary had said to me, my late husband, when I was ready to, wanting to launch my creative business. He just said, just do it. And it's almost like the stag was giving me the same message. As much as you've done, you can do more.
Ooh, and this is something this is actually a beautiful pattern now that keeps coming for you, the pattern of allowing yourself to grow and complete cycles of growth, which you are continuously growing. Would you like to share with us part of your vision of where you see yourself going? Because I'm sure a lot of people will get inspiration from this.
I think, you've got to look at in 2020 2009, when I'd lost everything, I literally had nothing. And 10 years later, I'd rebuilt my life and bought my dream home for cash and met my dream man, Gary. And things were wonderful. And then COVID hit, didn't it? And the pandemic changed everything. And Gary got ill and he died in 2020. And for me, that was almost right, okay, you've survived the worst that's happened before. You can survive it again. So keep going. He'd pushed me towards my creative business. I'd launched it on Boxing Day 2019. I'd published my book. We'd bought our dream home. And I took a bit of time to think about it. And then in 2020, I just put the house on the market. I'd put a vision on my vision board, I'd put a Scottish castle. I wanted to own a castle in Scotland to run retreats for people from around the world. That's what I wanted. That was not, you've been part of that vision creation. Yeah, because every session we've done, it's gone bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happened was I put the house on the market, sold it the same day, came to Scotland, and the universe put a miniature version of the very castle right in my path. So I listened. And sometimes you've got to notice, listen, and see the things that are in front of you. And I just bought it. I bought it for cash. I renovated it. It was a mess. I'm sitting talking from it now. So I am running retreats for women from around the world. I have been picked up by a publisher for my first book and the next two books. I have a very successful multiple six-figure creative business. But the message from the stag was, as much as you've done, you can do more. So my vision continues to grow, but it is about helping women through not buying that castle, because I think I've already done it. It doesn't need to be bigger.
Yeah.
What needed to be bigger was the offer that I had. And I've now introduced a VIP 12-month program, which includes a 7-day or 2 4-day retreats here. It includes, monthly one-to-ones with me, as well as a huge training platform and access to all of my experts. It's a package that I'd kind of dreamed of, but never had the courage to do.
Oh, yeah.
I put it together and sold one immediately.
Fascinating. It was there waiting for you to, it was there energetically. It was just about you bringing it from here and picking up the fruit that was there and serving it to the world. And it's such a beautiful gift as well. Because, sometimes we will be sitting on all of these amazing gifts and all the magic that we have within, but then it's only when we accept that we have access to that and then share it with the world, that's when the universe will open the doors for other people to come into our space. So I know, Mandy, that you help so many creatives create their own businesses. What would you say is the biggest struggle that creative people have when they come to you?
It absolutely, hands down, it's self-confidence and shiny object syndrome. Those two things are the most talked about on the group calls. Now, they do lack business acumen and planning skills, but all those things are teachable. You can teach people systems, procedures, you can coach them through it. Building self-confidence and managing shiny object syndrome. Now, for those who don't know what that is, this is the creative brain epitomized, where you are on track with your business, doing something, and you go, oh, I've got an idea. Oh, I've got an idea. And what you're doing is left behind while you go and chase that shiny object. And those shiny objects may not be money-making things, whereas what you were doing was. And this is why a lot of creatives find themselves in this living on the poverty line, because they're constantly chasing the shinies instead of sticking to the thing that's going to create the income for them. So I think helping women to see that behavior, learn to accept and acknowledge it, and learn to manage it. It's never going to go away. I have it. Shiny objects all the time, but I've learned to manage it.
Yeah, and that is it's something that once you learn how to be aware of, because awareness, I think, it's the beginning of the big changes in our lives. So once we are aware of it, then it's easier, a little bit easier to kind of go through it. And this makes me want to ask you then what happens once they discover these things? Like once they say, okay, now I understand there is this shiny object and I can become more confident, what changes for them?
I think it's a realization that there's nothing wrong with them, that they are like every other creative. It's a normal thing for right brain people to be like that. Instead of being criticized by the people around them now, which has affected their self-confidence, they can ignore that because they know that this is okay. And all they've got to do is learn to manage it. And when they do, through finding a planning system that works for them, because it's not the same for everybody, through finding a way of staying on track and accepting that these things are going to interrupt the workload, then for me, I'm like, okay, you focus on one thing. Focus on one thing, do it really well, do it till it's finished, park your shiny objects on a car park and come back to them later on. But when you come back to them, you assess them. You do your market research and you say, is that shiny object, is it a shiny object or is it a good potential business money-making idea?
Mm.
Difference.
Huge difference, isn't
Yeah.
it? And it's such a gift to not waste a lot of time by going deep into the shiny object syndrome. It is truly a gift. And I love something about you, Mandy, that I absolutely love is that you know how to combine the creativity and the strategy. And I think these two elements are so important for everyone who wants to create a business. And with that, I also know that you're big on creating vision boards. And to everyone who's watching, Mandy creates in her community a vision board every single year. So please connect with Mandy because her vision boards are absolutely outside of this world. So how would you say, Mandy, these things or exercises like creating vision boards help people?
I think it's understanding the purpose of the vision board, because it's all very well having a bit of cardboard and sticking a few photographs on it. That's very different to creating a meaningful vision board. So for me, it's about what am I going to feel like when I get to this dream? What does it look like? Who's around me? What's the environment like? And the vision boards I create tend to contain that. So this year's has got lots of weird and wonderful older women and beautiful landscapes and sunsets and a cottage on the side of a loch. And it's got a feeling. And along with it, I always do, and I say that I'm pointing because it's there at the left-hand side of me, and next to it is a 4-foot mind map with the strategic side. So I've got the creative side of the vision board and how I want to feel, and the strategic side is a big mind map done online in paper that says, this is how I'm going to create that vision. And that's where the castle started, on the top of a mind map.
And isn't it beautiful that once you create that vision where you're going to, yes, it's that destination, which is important because it's kind of giving you something to look forward to, but then it's about the journey as well. So how does someone remain consistent on their journey, especially as someone who is creative and is, of course, tempted to try new things all the time?
Yeah. I think it is about knowing that what's the strategy for the next 12 months? What are the ways that I can make money? What does that look like? I encourage them to really crunch the numbers. So, for instance, my creative mastermind is £5,700 investment. I only want to serve 30 women on that course in the next 12 months. So my job is find 30 women who want to do that course. My VIP offer is £10,000 and I want 6 women to do that. I don't need any more than that. And that allows me to work in a place of joy because I can give them bespoke training and teaching, create bespoke business models and business plans with them. If I had thousands on those courses, I wouldn't be able to do that and I wouldn't enjoy that.
Mm.
So, that many women still brings me in around just under £300,000 of revenue. So that's enough for anybody, and that's okay. And that's just 2 of my income streams. So I've crunched the numbers. How many women do I want to serve? Yeah, how am I going to find them? Then we can put the business plan behind it. How do we find those women? What strategies do we use on organic reach and on paid adverts? And how much of an investment do so we go down to the detail of how we then create that income. And then I've set goals for my book. How many copies of my book do I want to sell? How am I going to do that? So I look realistically at the income streams I already have and understand how I'm going to generate the income from them. Yet it still sits on a pretty picture behind my laptop here and a vision board to the side. And I extract it from that 12-month mind map into 12-month goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals. And everything I write in my planner has to connect back to that main vision and plan.
So with every action that you take, you have to make sure that action is taking you just a step closer to your goal, which is so precious. And yes, once you step onto this business journey, it can be a little bit overwhelming and it can take a lot of your time. So how is like what kind of suggestions can you give when it comes to creating a balance in someone's life? Because like before you know it, yes, it's not a 9 to 5 job, but sometimes you may be tempted to spend more hours, 10, 12 hours on your business. So how do you manage that?
I think for me, it's always about balance. And I very much with my clients say that if you're not in peak condition, you cannot operate in peak condition. And we go back to you're the number one asset in your business. So if you are not going to perform well, if you're working 60 hours a week, don't work 60 hours a week. Find the most productive ways, the paths of least resistance, the best processes and systems that can serve you. And that's what I teach in my mastermind program. It's a 12-month program. And women don't go out because it's a myth. Women do not go out at the end of it and become a millionaire straight away. Nobody can teach you that. It's actually a process. And in the 12 months, I like to think that I can equip everybody with all they need to know in order to grow and scale a business that they've established in those 12 months. And it's that, I suppose, of keeping everybody focused and keeping strategy on the map. And I've got women coming to me going, I don't know how to create a business. And I'm going to give you an example of one of my ladies who came to me as a completely burnt out teacher, had enough of teaching, done with it. And she'd been off sick and she was like, the only way I'm going to be able to create income is to create a business. And she said, I do slow stitch. So embroidery. How can I create a business from that? So what she actually did during the 12 months, for the first 3 months, she was like, I can't see this, I can't see this, I can't see this. And then she created a pattern for a hair and slow stitched this beautiful hair, a toy, like almost like a stiff bear, really nice quality. And she started sharing 28 days of stitches, of different stitches, of embroidery stitches, and going on reels. And then she did a in-person workshops to create the animal, the hare. Then she created another animal, a moon-gazing hare, and then a fox, and now a cockerel. She has made, just from the hare, into the tens of thousands. And she's now fully booking out workshops at £165 per person in person and selling workshops online and selling patterns. And she's been contacted by a TV company to use her animals as props. She's been contacted by the biggest thread company in the world to work with their products. That's where you can take a business. Now, that's a lady that went in 12 months from, I don't know, and I can't see this, to now she's flying. She's got her own YouTube channel and she only started it about 3 or 4 months ago. She's over 700 subscribers already. And
That is incredible.
yes,
Absolutely incredible. This is just one of the
one.
stories of so many people, because you've helped so many just unlock that next level and next level in their business. So what would you say that in your energy that helps these people do that? Yes, it's in this physical world, the knowledge, the experience, the expertise that you have, but what do you feel it's something that comes from your soul, in your energy, that helps these people say, yes, I trust you, Mandy. Now I can see I can go further.
I think it's my story. I think they see that I have actually walked the walk, that I've been at low points, that I've had disasters happen and I've come through them, that I'm living in my mini castle in Scotland that was on a vision board a few years ago. I think a lot of people have come with me with my story, but new people into my world very quickly learn to trust me because I do actually do as I say I'm going to do.
Mm.
And I think there's an element, it's an overused word now, isn't it? Being transparent and being, honest and trustworthy, and the know, like, and trust factor. These have become buzzwords. But
Oh, yeah.
actually, before they were buzzwords, I was just doing that, of showing up, being honest, telling people the good, the bad, and the ugly, and sharing it openly and honestly with my community and saying, I felt like you once. I was you. And look at me now. You can do it too.
This is so inspiring, and every time I think of you, Mandy, I think of this person who just never gave up. You constantly took the steps, and you what you said you did every single time. It wasn't, I can't remember one time for you to say I'm going to do that and you didn't do it. No. And like, when you have a vision, like as big as it sounds, you just know immediately, you go and map out the next steps, and you just take the action every single day. And so I feel like, and I've seen this around me as business owners, people can sometimes fall into this energy of like, oh, I'm gonna do it tomorrow or next month or next year, or and it can be difficult in this case, because then the thing that you say you do tomorrow, and then tomorrow you say something you'll do the other day, and so it adds up, doesn't it? So what can be something that can help people do those things as they come?
I think what you've got to be mindful of is never overcommitting past your current capacity.
I
And
love
I
that.
have had things that I've not, I mean, for instance, last year's vision board had the coffee shop on it, and that fell through. But what I did was share that journey as well, of this is the vision for this year. It fell through because of third parties, because of outside influences, but I didn't let that. I actually lost, I think, about £20,000 on that enterprise, but it didn't stop me. And all I did was regroup and move forward. And I think that was within my capacity, but the external influences were out with my capacity because I couldn't control them. And it's always about that. What do I think I can control? Can I actually put the time and energy and effort into doing this now? And never overpromise.
Mm.
Underpromise and overdeliver every single time.
I love it. It's so true. And thank you for sharing this message. I think it is incredibly valuable. And when somebody is creating their vision boards and they think about their next dreams, how can they recognize if that's their dream, or it's something for them, or it's something that they just want to copy from someone else? How can they recognize that?
You've got to be so authentic when you are creating a vision board. Do not put a car on there because your partner wants it, because you'll never manifest it. Do not put something that is not for you. And when I say for you, I think back to, what have you always dreamed of? If you remember, we did a regression session and I was a queen in a Scottish castle. So who knew? I obviously knew there was something pulling me back to that. So listen to your soul. Go and get some help to find out what it is you truly, truly want. When you remove the layers, we're like onions, aren't we? And we've got all these layers that society put on us that you should do. You should look like this. You should live like this. You should earn this. You should do this. You should be educated this way. When you peel them back and go back to your soul and what that's meant to do, people like you, for instance, Stella, you know, the vision sessions that I've done with you have helped me really connect with who I am at a soul level. And that who I am at a soul level is somebody that wants to help other people. I've been good at it my entire life, but also wants to incorporate my creativity. I live my dream now. Every day I do what I love. I even love sitting here chatting to you with a video on, because that's all it is, really. You know, these are great things to be doing. This is part of my business strategy. I do the things I like. I don't do the things I don't. You know, connect with what it is you truly want. Think back to what you used to do when you were a kid or a teenager in your bedroom. Were you singing into a hairbrush in front of the mirror? Were you spending hours doing your amazing makeup because you're so creative and doing your hair? Or were you studying something that really truly lit a fire under you? Maybe archaeology was your dream at that age and you've never followed it. So, you know, think back to, because the child in us knows.
Oh, yes, I can totally relate, and I totally agree with that, because sometimes now as an adult you think, oh, now as I'm embracing this journey of self-discovery and growth, I am giving myself the permission to look at those moments in my childhood and identify that passion and excitement. And for me, you know, now as I continue to go on this journey because it never ends, I can see now, oh, okay, this is why I wanted to do this and that, and talking to people in front of my house, inviting them to just speak up and share their stories. I was doing that since I was a child. So absolutely, I agree with you, Mandy, to just really follow what's that in your true essence. And I know you mentioned about the regression that we've done, and I remember that. And I also remember there was something very powerful in that session, and that was that you were helping not just the people in your like closest environment, but you were encouraging communities to come together. And when you saw that, it was like I had chills over my body, because this is what you're doing in this life now too. You create such incredible communities where people trust to come in there and like really express themselves and shine. And I'm grateful to you for giving this gift to the world. So, Mandy, to everyone who's watching us, what advice would you give if they're on this, maybe they're in this space in their life where they think, okay, I have this job, I have this life, I know I have some creative gifts. Where can I start from? I'm scared that if I leave my job, I lose everything. I'm scared that my family will not accept me. What kind of advice can you give to them?
And the best advice I can give to anybody is to find people who you think like you, speak like you, behave like you, and find someone that's ahead of where you are now. Doesn't matter how far ahead, and connect with them and ask them questions. I get asked a lot of questions by people at lots of different levels, and I am honored to be able to answer those questions. And if somebody is too busy to answer your question, they're not your people, first. Because we can all get back to somebody with a 15-second voice note. Sorry, but we can. Don't care how busy you are. Find your people, connect with them, and create communication with them. It's the greatest, most powerful manifestation tool we have is communication. Speak it, say it, ask it. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
That's so beautiful. And oh my God, that's really beautiful. Communication, being honest with your needs and wants and learning how to say that is just incredible. And I really want you, Mandy, to share with us all the incredible things that you're working on, everything that you create and share with the world. And if you want something that's also coming up and you want to share with everybody.
Okay, there's so much. Obviously, I've just had my biggest launch ever in January. which was a six-figure launch for the Creative Mastermind and the VIP Mastermind. I am fully booked. I've got my little bit of paper here. I'm terrible. I still have scruffy bits of paper, you know. Doesn't matter how important you get. So I'm fully booked on 1, 2, 3, almost 4 retreats this year, with only 3 more left to book out. And the spots are selling fast. So that's fantastic. To have that sort of revenue in the first quarter of the year enables me to focus on other projects. So what am I doing now? We are relaunching and remarketing my book, The Life I Won. I'm still writing the second book. I'm not very good at getting that done, am I? I'm still doing that. Hopefully we should see my first children's book come out this year.
I love it.
Which is written about a little boy called Dan, my son, who has autism. And that story will hopefully be coming out. And he has 2 very special dogs with superpowers.
Wow. Oh, wow. I can't wait to see that book. And I'm sure many children and adults will get a lot of inspiration from that because not only that, you will be sharing this with children who love the journey, the story, but also it will help parents who have children who are
Yeah.
going through this. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. So you're planning to launch these books, I mean, the book for children's story, right? And
yeah, hopefully by the end of the year. It's being illustrated at this moment by one of my former clients. So that's also really nice because that it's almost like that keeps giving, doesn't it? Somebody's worked with me, now they're illustrating my book. So
it's the world that we create for ourselves because it's never a hierarchy or anything like that. We are here. I always say that it's like a big universal table and we come with our gifts, we put them on the table and then we share, like, you know, we share our gifts, and that's a true joy because this is how we can contribute to creating the world a better place.
Mhm.
And that's really exciting and joyful. Thank you so much, Mandy, for being here today with us. I appreciate your presence. To everyone who's watching us, please check out the description of this video. Find out how you can connect with Mandy because believe me, you will change your life just by being in her world. And check out her retreats, her book, the books that will come as well soon. And I am thankful for you for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Thank you, Mandy, for being here. Bye.
Bye.